Most people believe that the difference between those who get healthy and those who don't comes down to one simple thing: motivation. They think successful people wake up inspired. They think fit people feel like exercising every day. They even think that disciplined people are somehow wired differently. But what if I told you motivation is actually one of the least reliable tools for long-term health? What if the real secret behind lifelong fitness isn't motivation at all, but something far simpler and far more powerful? And what if believing in motivation is actually one of the biggest lies keeping people from reaching their potential? Today on the Personalized Fitness Podcast. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Personalized Fitness Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. As always, I'm Garrett Williamson, president of Personalized Fitness, and we're here to talk about health, fitness, longevity, and how to push back against what we call here at Personal Edge the lie of age. That idea that decline is inevitable simply because time passes on a calendar. At Personalized Fitness, we believe something very different. We believe the truth. We believe your ability is determined by the four components of ability, which are fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, and mindset, not the number of candles on your birthday cake. If you ever want to reach out to us, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us at www.personaledgefitness.com. You can email me directly, garrett@personaledgefitness.com. You can contact us via the podcast line, which is 251-278-3343. Also, you can follow us on Personal Edge Fitness on our Facebook page. It's Personal Edge Fitness. And also Instagram. You can follow us. You can hit me up on Twitter or X at TeamPE. Today we're going to tackle something that almost everyone believes, but very few people actually understand, and that's motivation, or what I call the myth of motivation. When someone decides to get healthy, the first thing they usually say is this: I just need to get motivated. Plenty of people, when they're calling to set up a consult, they talk to me about, I just need motivation. Well, motivation it's emotional, and emotions are temporary. No one is really motivated every day. Believe it or not athletes, not trainers, not even Olympians. But if motivation were required for success, almost no one would be successful. As usual, I like to go to research on this. Well, let's show you what the research says. One very interesting study from Stanford University looked at what researchers call temptation bundling and habit formation. The researchers found that the people who relied on systems and routines rather than emotional motivation were far more likely to maintain exercise habits long term. In other words, people who wait to feel motivated often never start. People who build systems keep going. It's not the only study. There's another study published in the European Journal of Social Psychology. It examined habit formation and found that developing a consistent routine, like exercising at the same time each day, creates automatic behavior over time. On average, habits take about 21 days to form and about 60 days to become absolutely automatic. In fact, it takes 90 days to create a lifestyle change. So this isn't motivation; it's habits. I'll show you something what we see in quote-unquote the real world. We see day to day. After more than 30 years in the fitness industry, I can tell you something very clearly, that most successful clients I have ever trained were not the most motivated. In fact, many of them started out with little motivation. In fact, almost every session. What they had instead was structure. They scheduled their workouts. They showed up even when they didn't feel like it. They built habits. And once those habits formed, motivation basically became irrelevant. Now, if you're just joining us, this is the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast, and today we're discussing the lie of motivation. If you'd like to reach us, don't think twice about contacting us. Our website, personaledgefitness.com. Email me, Garrett at Personal Edge Fitness. Contact us via the phone number of the podcast, 251-278-3343. And if you enjoy these discussions, you might enjoy my upcoming book, The Lie of Age, which explores the science behind why you decline is not inevitable and how fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, and mindset actually determine your long-term ability. All right, let's get back to this thing about motivation and talk about the real secret, which, like I said, are systems. Motivation says, I'll exercise, when I feel like it. Systems say, I exercise Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 o'clock. One requires emotion. The other requires structure. And I'll show you why the Personal Edge Fitness model works. At Personal Edge Fitness, one of the reasons we avoid contracts is because pressure creates resistance. Instead, we focus on consistency, routine, and gradual improvement. And what happens is really remarkable. People who never thought of themselves as motivated end up exercising for years and sometimes even decades. And that's probably more often than not here at Personal Edge. They've developed a pattern. Even when we put together their routine, let's say they're working out with us 3 days a week, we heavily encourage them to come in the other 4 days during the week at the same time. Again, breakfast, lunch, dinner, fitness. We're trying to create a system because motivation is fleeting. Habits are durable, and systems like this are very, very powerful. If you wait to feel inspired to change your life, you may wait forever. Instead, look at building that step-by-step system. When we do this in a consult, we talk a lot about this. We talk about, when we have people come in and sit down and talk to us about their goals, they tell us a weight goal. I want to lose 20 pounds. Or we have somebody say that I want to get stronger in my legs. And as I've talked about before, there's always a mental reason behind why everybody has a physical reason for coming in. And of course, everybody would like those things to happen tomorrow. I would like them to happen tomorrow. And as I comically say many times, we do wonders here. We don't really do miracles. But the other thing is that having that fast change, have a fast change to your body is hard to maintain. That's why you hear people that go on to some sort of a short-term, quote-unquote, crash diet, where they're not able to maintain it. They're doing too fast of a change. Instead, we talk about building a system and getting gradually better every single day. A couple of things happen. One thing, we don't have to worry about the motivation because we're building the system. The second thing that happens is that the body adapts better to slow change. It adapts better to little habits. We talked about this in a few podcasts ago about how to develop those little habits that will actually get to that long-term goal. And I'll tell you something else. After 35 years of doing this, the people that are really successful are the ones that do those slow changes, and they're the ones that focus on first developing that system. And I'll tell you this, which is very interesting. You think that, you see a quick physical goal, quick physical change, that'll motivate you. And yeah, it does. Don't get me wrong. Within the first couple of weeks, people feel different. But what they notice and what gets them to come back a lot of times that second session, third session, is the fact that they left our facility or they left their workout if they're online with us. And they didn't regret doing it. They felt a win. It was a daily win. Because if anybody's telling you that, hey, you're going to drop 10 pounds in this first, hour that we work out, no, that's not going to happen. But what you will feel is you will feel that win. You'll feel better about yourself strictly because you did that first day, which helps lead you to want to come back the next time. And those daily wins, those small incremental habits, are what you're really looking for. That system is what's going to drive you to be successful, not motivation. A lot of times people confuse that with motivation. It's not. It is developing a system and developing that into a way of life. Again, 21 days to create a habit, 66 days for it to become somewhat automated, 90 days to create a lifestyle change. But if you build a system that supports healthy behavior, those changes become automatic. And that's just one more way we help you reach your level of wellness. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you next time.